Hello everyone and welcome back to the comments section. My name is Brian if you happen to be new around here, and if you're a returning subscriber, we'll see if your comments are here in today's video. We're gonna have some fun. I have a stacked show for you guys today. If you're new to the comment section, this is where I do a deep dive into what you guys have to say, and all in all, this continues our video game discussion series. This one in this particular show is going to be focusing on all the Throne and Liberty blowback, but this isn't just a negative show. I've got positive comments to highlight along the way, and I think this is what makes gaming great, where we get to sit down, we get to have these kind of shows. So whether you're enjoying this by watching it the whole way through, let me know if you do, or if you're enjoying this as a podcast, note that there's no wrong way to enjoy this show. So grab yourself a cup of a copy keeper, or something that you enjoy to drink. I hope that you enjoy what we have for you today, but let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, the first thing I want to say before we actually get into your comments outside the intro is I see you. One of the things that is kind of a passion project of mine is understanding masculinity, understanding what it means to be a man. As a dad myself with, 6 kids in this case, if that's new information to you, well, welcome to the channel. But I've got 2 sons and I got 4 daughters. And this is something that is absolutely critical to my understanding. And one of the things I keep seeing overall and all is a sense of loneliness and anger. Now, the majority of people who watch my content are men. These are the stats that we have. So howdy, my fellow bros. But one of the other things that I see within society, and I don't have like data to back it up, but there's something I feel because at least the tone of comments and the conversations that I have are something to be that I find concerning. And so I want to encourage you, and this is something I try to do almost as a subtext of all my videos, but I want to encourage you that if you are struggling, if you are lonely, if you are just trying to figure yourself out, you're not alone. I've been there. One of the things that I've shared occasionally is just some of the struggles that I have personally been through. I think in a way men and becoming a man is in a way becoming, scarred and persevering through that. So in my life, I had over $100,000 in debt. My wife had a brain tumor. We couldn't have children. There's so many things, and that's only like the tip of the iceberg, right? But through, untold suffering, I was able to pay that debt down. It cost me quite a lot. And that story in and of itself, if you want to know more, let me know. Maybe we'll hang out in Discord, which you're more than welcome to get and join in. So if you're looking for something, if you're feeling kind of lost and aimless, if you feel like there's no hope in this world, let me be the one to tell you there is. There is. And sometimes I think especially men, and I don't know about the ladies out there, so I know you guys subscribe too, so hello ladies, but especially for the men, kind of in a way, like, and for me, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to sit here and just use a Bible quote, iron sharpens iron. I think that as men, you don't have to be Christian, but it's that we are kind of built for community. We can become the thing we were made to be sometimes by having people that actually give a crap about you, tell you like, yes, yeah, that sucks, dude. Let's punch it back in the face, and not actually another human, but like whatever what feels like the mountain that you got to climb. So I want to say that as a part of encouragement, because obviously there's some themes in today's show that are going to dive into some of the negativity and frustration. And that concerns me greatly because I love gaming. Ever since the first time I saw Super Mario Brothers 2 on the NES, I have been infatuated with this as a hobby, with this as a passion. It's what drove me into school, what made me become a software engineer, what made me go and study game development at the University of North Texas. Like, there are so many aspects of this that I just absolutely adore. And in that vein, that's what I want to try to encourage people to be better. So let's stop rambling at the start of today's show, and let's dive into what you guys have to say, because that's the important part of it. Dantos Vanroe, and sorry if I butcher anybody's names today, says, like every other MMO, it will have giant numbers up front from the nomadic majority, and then the concurrent numbers will drop 80 to 90% after a month or so. Hyping and memeing is where the entertainment is for many people. It is what it is at this point. I'm sure I'm going to try it. It's free to play, but I'll probably not end up being for me. I don't really care much for mobile design, and not as long as it is well done. I like Genshin and the Honkai Star Rail enough as games. The only thing that really bugs me about mobile game design is stamina systems, which both have, admittedly. The limit of how much time you can play in progress is part of the hook, hobby, habit approach. So okay, so a couple things, like to break up their comment into two parts, the second part being the free to play. I don't get that vibe yet from Throne and Liberty in terms of the stamina system. In fact, with the autoplay, it seems like they don't ever want you to log off. And if you have like the battle pass, you can have offline autoplay, which is awesome and wild and frustrating and dangerous. Like it in and of itself is a interesting, problem to have. It's an interesting solution to the problem, which other people have, basically made MMOs non-MMOs. They've just turned them all into kind of Diablo, complaint fests. And that's what we talk about here on the channel. There's 3 seasons of the MMO: the hype, the grind, and then the complain. And you can see here with especially the bigger MMOs, the popular MMOs, is the hype and the grind. Like the grind especially is the shortest season of all. Like people knock that stuff out within a day or two, and then they complain that there's nothing to do, right? And it's a meme and it's a joke, and we all know this, but it's still the cycle that we all live in. But I don't see those stamina systems as a part of Throne and Liberty, which is interesting. I see the opposite of it. I just see it gives people the option to not log off, but it'll be interesting to see. We'll continue to explore it because I don't know how personally I feel until I go hands-on with it. Now, as a part of the 80-90% drop, yes, this is actually the same thing for every game. Now, a lot of people try to meme on New World for this, but Final Fantasy XIV had the same drop as well with Endwalker, surprisingly. In fact, one of the things we see is that what prevents drops is actually PvP. Like the bigger the drop is, PvP can help offset that. And actually New World maintained its numbers for quite a while, but then when you look it over at a longer period of time, it had a bigger drop. So I think New World's real drop happened after the January update as they went into the spring, and that's where you really kind of saw the bottom fall out in terms of player numbers. But it doesn't matter. New World actually has a 250,000 monthly active user player count. It's going to go down with June as expected, but then season 2 kicks off and the cycle continues. It's all about content, communication, consistency, and obviously like having, a unique hook with your game. Throne of Liberty, I think, has a unique hook. Everything I've seen so far, especially in terms of systems and its design, really makes me wish it was a buy-to-play game. I really wish that there was like a $40 entry fee into Throne of Liberty, and then that was it. But the free-to-play nature will be very, compelling and addictive to people. And that's actually the biggest thing, the biggest problem I have is free-to-play over the buy-to-play. I think buy-to-play is the perfect model. I don't think the subscription makes sense. And I hear you, Ash, as a creation people out there. And all I am saying is wait and see. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to see Ashes come out and maintain its player base. If it can hold on to 250,000 to 500,000, not concurrent because that's not realistic, but if it can hold on to that as a monthly active user number, I think the game will be fine. You don't necessarily need all that much with the subscription because you have that guaranteed revenue each and every month for the players. I know if the game is good, I'm going to be subscribed whether I'm playing it or not because I want to support it. Same thing I do. I support Embers Adrift, and I'm just continuing to remind them, like, hey, get some controller support in there. It'll make it way easier for me to enjoy. But thank you, Dantos. Let's continue on our journey. Matthew says, this video gave me a huge amount of respect and interest for you as a YouTuber, and I just found you. Welcome in, Matthew. Thank you guys so much. You will find that when we disagree, that's okay. You will find it is perfectly fine to comment. Like, I would say be respectful because I like to try to highlight the respectful comments. The ones that are just dogging and just like almost brain dead hateful, like, yeah, I'm just going to ignore you. But in terms of this, I think it's important to say that there is a world in which we used to exist where we would have discussions and we would not necessarily, and it would be okay to walk away from that, still believing what we believe about games, etc. Right? Now, the question here is that if you agree with me on one video and you like, then do you just like hate me for the next? That's where I get concerned with social media because listen, you got choices. My view of our relationship is that I wanted to try and make the best content for you, and then you choose whether you want to enjoy that content or not. And if you choose not to, that's your choice. That's perfectly fine. That should be the way, right? I should not have anybody feel forced that they have to watch and support my passion here. This is a passion project. I am a software engineer. I do not do this full time. I invest most of the money that comes from this channel in helping other people out, and then I have invested a little bit back into trying to improve my audio quality and so much more. In fact, running Work to Game with Chris when we got started years ago, the majority of the time that channel, he got like everything that channel made because he kept trying to make that full-time push, and currently he is a full-time content creator over on Twitch. So it does support me now a little bit, so he doesn't get 100% of it. But yeah, that's just like, this has never been about the money for me. This has always been about trying to find people I like talking about video games with, and I don't know, try to make the world a better place with a common shared language of video games. There's no mystery to it. This isn't a revelation. If you've been subscribed to the channel, I'm just repeating stuff you already know, but if you're new, hopefully that's informative. So anyway, welcome Matthew. Hopefully you enjoy more of the content that you find here on the channel. And yeah, always, and you can call me out on my BS too. Like, that's the important thing, like, let's have a discussion about it. But the world right now, the way I look at it is that it's so much more just scorched earth, and how dare we disagree that Brian likes Dr. Pepper. I only have one a year on my birthday, just heads up. I love Dr. Pepper though, versus like maybe your Coke or Pepsi, like it just seems that's like a little too much, but we'll move on. Anyway, Zaan in the counterpoint to Matthew says, I can't believe you're defending this piece of S. I'm sorry, but you are so delusional with this take, in my opinion. I'm so done. It just feels like you don't want to backtrack because you're so hyped for the game. I work a full-time job, and even I think this is a waste of space. I don't know, man. How can you think this game is good? Saying autoplay is a needed must. OMG. I don't think I said it was a needed must. I said it was an interesting answer to the problem of making games pointless, or at least trying something different. Like, that's the whole thing. They're trying something different, and that should be from a marketplace of ideas, from an economy of ideas. It's going to be a question, and we're going to look at the fallout one way or the other, positive or negative. I'm like, sheesh, I'm so mad I can't even type. I just want to rant. Good luck with your channel. I'm done with it for sure. Thanks for the well wishes and good luck, but this is what I was talking about in the intro. Why the F are you mad? Like, this is what the only way that, and awesome, profile pic, by the way, Zaan. Like, awesome. Batman is amazing. Let's talk about this in terms of this. I've setting up, and I will continue to preach, expectations versus reality. You're going to see it with the right MMO. Expectations are going to run up against whatever that game ends up being. As long as the game is ethereal and unknown, people fill in what they want. And let's fault Amazon. They called this an action combat game. Well, like, from all the video footage, I've been saying, I think it's a hybrid. Like, it looks like a hybrid blend, and from some of the later combat skills, that feels about right. And also, and what I've talked about as a developer, what can be fixed in the time, like assuming that they're going to be launching sometime around September, October, well, they can make some changes to the combat. I don't think you'd see a massive overhaul to it, but who knows? I've been surprised before. But why are you mad? Why are you mad? I don't think you heard me, and that's the thing. That's the reality of what it means to be a content creator. Everybody's going to hear my words spoken and interpret it through their life experience. And that's a risk. That's a risk anybody takes when speaking in a public way, and something that I can always work to improve upon. But having that kind of reaction, at least how I read Zaan's reaction, tells me I think there's something more fundamentally going on behind the scenes. I would bet that in a week's time or whatever, once kind of the process of what actually transpired between the information, your expectations, and all of a sudden you start to kind of cool off from it. I do wonder if Zaan does come back to the channel, does have a cooler head prevail, and maybe this is more just a knee-jerk reaction to my content. But he's more than welcome to stay, to go. It doesn't matter. I'm always willing to engage with the conversation, and I do appreciate comments. In fact, one of the things I don't know yet, but I'm going to try to do, and one of the reasons you're going to try to see more hearts on videos is for people who are commenting. I want to be able to, as we get closer to that 70, 80, 90, and then 100,000 subscriber marker, I'd like to do some kind of big giveaway. And one of the things I want to do is it's going to be about people who have heart badges next to their name. So the more that you guys comment, the more that I can heart your comments, YouTube will actually add a heart badge that I can see, and then you'll actually see in videos. I don't know if anybody has it today, but we'll keep rocking and rolling. So also the badge next to Zaan's name means that he's subscribed. So at the time of this comment, he was still subscribed. Who knows if he still will be. Let's continue on. Rainz says, I played Aeon for 6 years long, and the combat is majorly exactly the same. Stop and attack, cast with a few skills with mobility. Like any MMO, I'll get what I get and I can get from it, and I'll have fun with it until I don't. Games make me happy. They take my demons away. So I'll give every game a chance to entertain me enough to forget my pains. I think gaming is an escape. It is an escape for me. I don't get to go on a lot of vacations, in that regard. So we don't have that kind of money around here. We're slowly saving up to try and take the kids to Disney, hopefully here in a couple of years. And I know that's a privilege that not everybody gets the opportunity, but it's something that we've been working towards for years, and hopefully that's something we can kind of pull the trigger on in that regards. But video games are a vacation. They take me to incredible worlds. So that's really kind of what I have to say on that. Play, have fun. If you're not having fun, play something else. I get that we have this, I think there's an underlying desire for community to feel connected, and especially within the tribalism of MMOs. Hell, I knew what I was getting into. I was hinting at that I was leaving Final Fantasy 14 for years. But I knew that people don't actively pay attention to my words all the time. And when I did say, okay, yep, I'm done, I beat the game, it was just, people's reaction to that varied wildly. I think a lot of people understood and were excited for me and for my new, adventures. And then some people that were more kind of the culty part of it were angry and mad and visceral. And thankfully, I I didn't actually see any of that negativity, because I had a whole plan, and it worked out almost to perfection in that regards. But yeah, if you're not having fun, what are you doing? These are games. These are meant to be fun, and I think the community aspect does tend to kind of keep people locked in for fear of that level of rejection, and we've seen it. I've seen people get hurt by their quote unquote gaming communities before. And it sucks, and I don't really know how to fix it otherwise than tell you, what, let me know how I can encourage you to be the best version of you. I got up this morning, went to the gym. The sun is barely coming up. I have a cup of coffee right now. I'm filming this before I go to work, and I want you guys to have the best life possible. That's on the honest truth. All right, Original HD says, I hope you will be making a video if it fails in your own eyes, because I haven't disagreed as much as I do right now. Auto combat is fine because as a dad, you can go do other things. I'm a dad, and whenever I want to go play a game, I log in and start playing, even if it's 30 minutes. Oh boy, you'll be surprised when you see the monetization. I don't think I'm going to be surprised by the monetization. Let's just put that out there. That is the be-all, end-all kind of biggest question. But I also am not going to be impacted by bad monetization. I just choose not to engage in that kind of system. And in fact, if it becomes a barrier, I just stop playing. Now, in a game that I really enjoy, I will support it, because I understand that the goal of the game, if you want more game, if you want it to maintain itself, is to support it. So for games that have monetization systems, I'm not that, oh no, MTX always bad kind of guy, because I recognize that battle was lost decades ago at this point. And I'm thankfully not delusional enough to think that I myself can change it. I am always working to educate parents so we don't raise a whole generation of gamers out there that just are addicted to gambling mechanics and things like that. I have huge issues with it. So if you ever want to know more about my personal monetization policy for video games, I can go more into depth in that. And I have in the past videos, and I don't want to rehash it here. Otherwise, we might be here for another 2 hours because it kind of is. There are ebbs and flows. Now, will I make a video if it fails in my own eyes? Absolutely. Not necessarily dogging on it, but kind of talking about it in terms of kind of an analysis perspective. I do think people go through bandwagon stuff. So is this game a failure? Who knows? It's not even out yet. I think when you look at what people say online and in terms of the vocal, it's a vocal minority. Generally speaking, more people just like to play whatever and have fun. Being that this is going to be on consoles, crossplay, and more, opens it up to a wide range of players who might enjoy this kind of game and this kind of content that might not be you. And that's perfectly fine. But the question that I would have is, what does it mean to fail? For me, failure is when you quit. And And it's fine to quit things. It's one of the things I've had to learn. Growing up, we always had a phrase that we just, like my family doesn't quit. We keep going. We keep pressing on. And I think it got to a point where like I was at a bad job and I'm not going to quit. I'm going to work hard. And my dad eventually came to me. He's like, son, I think you can go ahead and quit. And so for me, quitting something is a difficult thing. It's very hard for me to quit. Because in that regards, like, you have, sunk cost and all these other things. And, you want to do your best and you want to make sure that, it wasn't all on, like that you didn't slack off and other people kind of have to suffer because of it. But failure is when you quit. MMOs, like a lot, what people define as MMO failures would define every MMO as a failure until it magically crosses some kind of 8 to 10 year mark and has all that kind of content. And then all of a sudden a big streamer, says, hey, let's go check out this one game. Like that in and of itself isn't a sustainable model. What is a sustainable model is the game making money? Are the servers online? Are they still making content? And as long as those things be true, like then the game isn't failed. But it will lose a huge chunk of its population after the first couple of months or two, naturally, because other things will come up. And you can't like, if you could take those numbers out from the hype, and then you just say, okay, now that the hype train has moved on from the game, what does the core base community look like? What do those numbers look like? And then is that core sustainable? I think it's going to end up being just fine. But yes, we will talk about it. I'll talk about the wins and losses. I'll talk about the positives and negatives. Like I'm a general optimist. Optimists live longer. They get, laid more clearly. And at its core, there is still critique to be had. There's still ways and systems that I like to look and break down, but I break it down in the concepts of how I view it as an engineer, in the concepts of how much time would it take to fix, and that's, I think, an important aspect. Dantos is coming back again, hitting us hot with 2 comments. I think the danger in something that autoplay is how it's balanced into the game. Will it be a catch-up method for those who have little time to play and other responsibilities like you mentioned, or necessarily a part of how the game is meant to be played in order to stay competitive and be invited to groups? 100%. If you see where the game's like, if you're not grinding out, 24/7, 365 in this game, you can't then join us. And that's going to suck. And that's going to be something where we will turn a lot of people off, because people aren't going to want to leave their consoles running 24/7, 365. People aren't going to want to leave their PCs running. People, I think essentially if it ends up just kind of being as a part of kind of this game in terms of farming and just kind of an easy way to kind of farm up certain things that you need without having to sit at your computer the whole damn time and forsake your family and your friends and your kids, it kind of ties back into an earlier comment like, oh, I just go play a game for 30 minutes. MMOs either require a lot of time or they don't require enough time, and that's a balance that it just won't be achieved. There's going to be lots. Every MMO enlists so much like emotion that there's a part of it that is generally in a way entertaining for me to kind of get that kind of vibe, because covering MMOs for as long as I have and played MMOs for as long as I have, the patterns themselves are very well defined, almost like the weather. We can see, we got a hype, a hype front coming in over on the side, and then crashing into it is reality. And now all of a sudden you have an anger tornado. It ends up being the same thing, kind of the same story played out over and over again. And when you can kind of step out of it and you can kind of just witness it, it ends up being kind of a beautiful and interesting thing to understand about our humanity and how we share that. Crillian says, no one cares if you like the game. Open your wallets and support it. You're adults. However, the majority will not be able to see through the faults, like it or not. They will have a tangible impact. I hope you guys get the game that you want and enjoy, but don't decry or mock others for laying out elements that kill their interests. Yeah, I think, they're posting this to kind of address other comments, not to me specifically. It's like, no, like, if you don't like the game, like, you don't like the game. Guess what? Here's the best news. There's so many good games right now, guys. So many good games. So many good games. And more good games to come in the way. I don't think gaming's in decline. I know a lot of people think that. It's not. We get we get good games every year. Not every game is a banger, and I think a lot of people put faith in an IP or a name or, whatever, and then it doesn't pan out, and then it's disappointing. And I'm like, I can respect that. I can understand that frustration, but it shouldn't ruin you. Like Indiana Can of Cones in the Temple of Dank says, burn, baby, burn, 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 dumpster fire, NCS soft Amazon, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read that, kind of comment, but you can see here that there's going to be people who champion this stuff. Like they want to see this game, games fail. They love dogging on games. It's a part of their entertainment package. It's just like anything else. Like it's, people who, buy options in short markets and do all these things. There's all these different things that are going on outside of kind of your standard investment, that you make. Geo and Benz here kind of having a little conversation. Says, no offense, but this MMO will fail. It doesn't matter what they're going to do. Korean MMOs always going to be scam Western players in the end. Korean MMOs will always be pay to win, and it will never have a good MMO. And they say Lost Ark is a KR game, just by the way. And he says, oh yeah, I know, from 1 million players peak to less than 100,000 average players. I wonder why. What's interesting, just from a numbers perspective, 100,000 players average, we're going to include bots here, in that calculation, represents anywhere from 700 to 1.1 million monthly active users. So if 700,000 to 1.1 million monthly active users is a failed game, I would love to fail. I would love to have my game that I release have that level of failure every day. So what do you know that? Know that like they had massive numbers, right? Ebbs and flows, hype trains and hype trains. Why does it matter? If you are only obsessed with playing the hottest game and moving on to the next, like that's fine. I'm not judging you for it, but who gives a crap? Like I just don't. I can't get on board with it. It just boggles my mind that if you're having fun with a game and it's not the most popular game out there, then you're gonna leave it. Like, nah, I'm not gonna worry about it. I think that online dialogue needs a lot of work. A writes, bro, did the game sponsor you to defend it and continue playing it? It's a dead game and got the truth unrevealed. People got the truth unrevealed. People used to say that it was a BDO killer. Any game that is labeled as a killer is a curse in this regard. But the animation autoplay is a mobile game ported to the PC. Maybe one of the released mobile games, but it was too powerful to be rendered on a phone. They tried to make a PC version of it. Let's not forget the aspect of pay to win. That is going to have a big no for me. Well, no, they did not sponsor. I do get a lot of emails wanting me to shill you stuff, and I have yet to find them. I have a couple of affiliate deals if you want to support me. This is nothing that they don't pay me to say, but I love my Secret Lab chair. I've been sitting in them for years, and finally got an affiliate deal because you guys see them on stream. So if you want to check out them as a gaming chair, absolutely awesome. And then ExpressVPN, I have a link, for that. So it's like, but you don't see ads on the channel, and I get emails for people who want me to put ads in my videos, but honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think it's worth it, personally, and maybe I'm wrong, but that's the beauty of the fact that I go work for my money and not have to sit here and try to sell you something. And not that I won't put an ad, in this if I find it relevant. Like if I like HelloFresh, hands down, I use them. And if they were like, hey, we want to put an ad for HelloFresh in your video, well, it would be a simple answer is yes, because like I'm already making content, and then it's like, yo, check this out. So anyway, that's kind of where I draw the line. If I'm actively using a product and I tell you about it for free, and somebody says, hey, would you do that thing that you just did for money? I'd be like, yeah, send me the check, because I'm trying to put my kids through school. So anyway, Richard says, good darn video, Brian. My question in the industry where they make the decision in the art and storyline is to what kind of it's going to be. I have always wondered if there is some chain of events or ideas that help make that determination. I need to explain it differently. Let me know. Be safe all. So from game design, I think what you end up seeing is that, like, especially with Throne of Liberty, it's gone through so many iterations of design. And ultimately, the goal is to release a product, and you're trying to figure out what it is. Now, these companies have so much market research on us about what is needed and what people are looking for, and that's generally speaking why you see similar style games release in similar kind of fashions, right? We saw a couple pirate games announced, and one still hasn't yet released. You see these kind of themes where like, hey, like, there's a real gap in the market for this or that, the other thing. MMOs are kind of different because they're trying to build something kind of a lasting longevity of a relationship, and that's just going to be the nature of what it is. So that's kind of how it flows. You test things out, it works, then you put in the work, and and then you refine it and you refine it and you try to find the fun. And if you can't find the fun, you cancel the project. And if you find the fun, then you keep moving forward. And so clearly, I think they have something, whether everybody here agrees with that or not. But time will tell, because if I don't like the game, if I'm not having fun with it, I'm not going to keep playing it, even if that costs me subscribers. And I think that should be a good thing. I don't think, I talked to so many people who are in a prison and they feel like they want to do something, but they can't. And I'm like, why do you do that to yourself? You know, like, people obsessed with their numbers, and it's a problem. Alexander writes, yeah, I don't even need to be logged in to play it as long as you have to buy the battle pass. And it does offline play for you as well. It was a great time with my kids and the Omega LOL plus the auction house, and you buy items with real money. I mean, looking at this work of art in a positive way, in my view, it just hurts gaming in general. Even if enough people join the bandwagon, it just makes companies continue this type of atrocious games, pay to win crap. But hey, you give them a reason to continue. One of the things I think it's unfortunate, and I say this a lot of times, is Alexander feels like they're the majority and they're a hyper minority. Like, when it comes down to it, like, you got, if you want to go do the fight, it helps to understand who you're fighting. And you're fighting billions of gamers who don't care about monetization, like what we would call the core gamer. When we look at the core gamer, I don't think that population has grown all that much in terms of, like, when we talk about a ratio perspective. It used to be that we were the kind of the niche. No, gaming wasn't popular. It wasn't something you would talk about, you know, in public, especially as an adult. Now that's all changed, but in terms of it, it's big. It's massive, right? And so to sit down and say, like, yeah, you know, just try and shame, like, it doesn't work. All Alexander does is that for every Alexander out there, there's like a million people who are like, I don't care as long as I'm having fun, right? So in that vein, good luck, Alexander. If the game in and of itself is like, you know, if you have to spend money to get power, yeah, people I think are fundamentally going to reject that in mass. But you need to go and then financially support games that don't. Otherwise, you're sending the wrong message. And in the event the message is that I'm not going to spend money whatsoever, then companies aren't going to pay attention to you at all. Yearly writes, more positive. I think it's going to be huge, like Lineage 2 was back in the day. I think viewers who have toxic comments, even without playing it, are just following herd mentality. I think there's some aspect of that. I think there's more than herd mentality. It's the expectations versus the reality. That is what we're going through now. Herd mentality is when you see people like, oh, I'm not going to try it because I heard, you know, from, you know, Asmongold or whatever, like, you know, oh, it's not fun, you know, and it's like, turns out like maybe that actually would resonate with them. That's the problem with herd mentality, but that's not, I think, what we're seeing right now. I think people will jump on that, like, who weren't paying attention, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a disaster fire over here. This is how a lot of content creators can kind of make their year in terms of growth and that kind of the monetization side of things, because like negative stories are better, and that's from a financial and a YouTubing perspective. That's why you see them, and that's where it can help set that kind of mentality where it's like all you hear is negative. And then, but the risk is that as soon as somebody goes and challenges that mindset and tries it for themselves, and if they have fun, then it starts to have, hopefully, them question the sources and information that they've been being fed, right? You know, and that's the nature of influence, and that's the nature of gaming. And one of the things I always try to encourage people to, like, just try it for yourself, make up your own mind, and then reflect on where you align and where you differ from what you're hearing on the internet. Katie says, it could be good from what I'm looking at. I don't like that it's autoplay, and if it's pay to win, because the story is good from what I saw. Makes it look good, and I don't think that the game is going to suck. It's a time thing. Also, combat looks like ESO, but with cooldowns and the lock in place like Final Fantasy 11 and a DCUO. But I see the hard play though, and I'm looking at it. Yeah, I think essentially if somebody could find some of the positives in the game itself, you know, you can experience the game and then you can be done with it, right? Like maybe you'll be able to experience the whole thing for free, but I think you're going to actually also experience a grind. So I think I'm going to try to look for the things that I like about the game, and I'm going to share those things, and I'll let you know the things that I think they could have done better, because that's what I like to do. Anyway, thank you, Katie, for that comment. Last comment of the show. If you made it all the way to the end, sound off with Gaming Templar. Finishing it off, or finish me off, gaming. Something like that. Says, the hate, as always, just this time is an insane level I've ever seen. Hating games, hating mechanics, hating people, and then entire countries in some cases. See a lot of hate to Japanese with Protocol, and a lot of hate to Koreans with Throne and Liberty. I received insults in Discord, a TL Discord, racial insults in fact. Some content creators, or most of them, are fueling this, and right now it is 100% clear, and I can't be denied that even some content creators, the ones who are not fueling this hate, said as much. Hate gets views, drama gets views. Not the kind of views that you want, though. I'm gonna just jump in on that. Like, when I have to cover drama, it sucks, because no matter what, everybody's already coming in with like their high school bullshit and whatnot. In this case, like, I always try to cover it in a kind of a content, like the context. Yeah, that's the word. And compassion, right? Like, here's what's going on. Here's why this is happening. And here's, we should, not be so quick to judge and hope for the best for this person. Like, that is how I've always covered it. But it doesn't matter because people aren't really there to listen. And so it ends up being kind of a moot point. So it gets views, but it doesn't get the watch time. And I'd rather have the comments of the watch time for somebody who actually was engaged. Because that's a better conversation. But you can't control the world, and nor would I want to, so that's going to be how it is. Anyway, as someone in the poor country who needs a lot of work and have no time, I appreciate what the game offers. It's free, and it has auto hunt, not autoplay, then that's different. Besides pay to win that Amazon can remove, everything else is awesome for me. Not a PvP player, but a game that is good that deserves a try. Until next year when I try Blue Protocol. Good video. Thank you very much. So the kind of final thought here is, especially in terms of like other games that are on the horizon, like while you wait for Blue Protocol, while you wait for what have you, I think it'll be interesting to see. I think a lot of what people are dogging on, it will be interesting to see if they kind of backtrack or if they just download it to try it for themselves, and then how they feel about how it works and how the later systems all in play, and then what changes the developers make to the game, if any at all. It's a fascinating world. Gaming's a fascinating place, and regardless of that, I just hope that you found something enjoyable in today's long video / podcast / comment section. That's it for today. We're going to wrap up. I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to wish you guys all the very best. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Hopefully I will see you in the next video. But until then, take care.